Hey everybody, it's Rachel here, and today I'm going to show you how to make grain texture in Adobe Illustrator. Today I'm going to show you how to add grain texture to this little mug of cocoa. So this is our finished work. You can see where we're headed, and we'll scoot over here and get started. So we're going to highlight this lip of the mug, and so then we're going to do a Control or Command C to copy it, and Control or Command F to paste in front. So now you want to make sure you're on this top layer, which you usually will be, and we go to the transparency panel, which will be these double circles, or if you can't find those, you can always find them up in Windows and go down to transparency. Now that we're in here, we're going to make a mask, and then we're going to click on the mask. So you'll know you're in the mask because there'll be the blue box will be around it, but you'll also, your layers panel will be isolated just to that mask. So all of your other layers are going to disappear and you're just in that opacity mask. Oh, you also want to click invert mask. So once we're in here, we're inverted. We want to Control or Command F to paste that in front once again on this mask. Now we're going to go back to outside of that mask, go back to our original layer, and we can see suddenly all our layers reappear. And we're going to go to properties, and we're playing with this color a little bit. Now this is going to be our highlight color, so we want it to be a little bit lighter. Now there's multiple ways you can do this. You can come in here and see, I was in CMYK, so originally it would open up here, and you can mess with it there, or you can come up to this little menu and you can do hue, saturation, and brightness is a great way to mess around with that color. My palette, the color palette I chose, came with a lighter green, so I'm going to use that as my color. Now we go back to the mask and we're going to go to gradient, and we're going to pick a gradient. So you can use the linear, radial, or the freeform gradient for this texture. It doesn't matter. So it just depends on what your illustration is and what is going to be the best. I think I use linear on this one. Yep, you can kind of see it starting to happen just as a gradient by itself. Now we're going to go into Effect, and we're going to go to Texture and Grain. And so you want to make sure that the grain type is set to stippled. And then in intensity and contrast, you can do, you know, whatever you want, whatever you're kind of going for. I ended up finding that I liked 10 and 20 for mine, but you can do anything that you want, or you can try this and you can go back in there and change it. So that looks all right. The grain texture, we can get a little bit closer there. And I also want my light source to be in a different spot. So you can go to this gradient tool over here, or you can do a shortcut of G, and then you always got to figure out which way you're supposed to go. I never seem to remember. And if it does this, like now it looks really pixelated. Don't worry, that's just an Adobe thing. It'll relax in a minute, or if you click a different button. One thing I wanted to say, so okay, maybe you get in here and you go, ugh, I don't like what I picked for contrast and intensity. So you want to go in and fix it through here. You're going to look for effects and you're going to look for grain. So you see that we're still in the opacity mask. In your properties, you want to fix it over here. If you go up to effects and redo it under texture and grain, you're adding another effect. So it's going to get real crazy and you're going to be confused. So there it is. So if you want to go in there, double click on that and you're back in here, you know, because now see my gradient's going the right direction. So maybe I can see it better and I want to do something different. And sometimes when you go in there, it fixes that pixelating thing too. So you might just want to do that for that sake. All right, now we can go in. Oops, see, then this happens too. You're in the mask and you're like, I want to do something else. No worries, just go to transparency, click out of the mask, all your layers will reappear. So we're going to lock that inside the mug. Oh wait, we didn't do our chocolate. Now there's one more thing about the grain texture that I want to show you, and that we're going to do, oops, see, in that mask again, get out of that mask, where we're going to close this up and we're going to go to the body of our mug. So on this one, so we're going to highlight it and it's still going to be Control Command C, Control Command F to paste it in front. When we make our mask, we're going to do something a little bit different. We want to get a larger area to work with our gradient. So we're going to create this box. So see, now this is just our mask. It's not goofing up our picture. It's just right there. Oops. and I forgot to invert the mask. See, you can do these steps in any order. So if you forget something, don't worry about it. You can fix it. So I'm going to go in here and get my lighter color again. And I'm going to go, so then I'm going to go back to the mask. And we're going to do the gradient, and I'm going to do a freeform gradient this time. Because I could do a linear gradient, but the freeform gradient gives you a little bit more freedom to, you know, make the depth and the shape of your piece. So I'm going to go up to Effect, and see, like I've used this so many times, I can say Apply Grain up here, or I can go to Texture, Grain. And on the mug, yeah, I think I use these same dimensions on the mug. Now that, see, now we can go in here and play with our gradient. And so if you've never used freeform gradient, it throws all these points out here and it can be kind of scary and intimidating. You click on one and you can just delete it. Get rid of that one, get rid of that one. I just want this one. And I'm going to turn it to either white or black. So it looks like white is our kind of our solid color here. And if we make another one up here, we can turn it to black. And then it's going to start, see, showing what we want. But the beauty of this square is we're not isolated to the shape of the mug. We can, you know, come up close, we can pull it back further and create different measures of that texture. So we can add points. Whoops, I didn't want that many right there. But see that too, you can just delete, you know, there's room for error. So that's pretty nice right there. Like I said, there we go. Yep, we're kind of seeing that softer look. So, and I'm going to do the same thing with the handle. We're going to make a square. This is a fairly simple, in a sense, illustration exempling this grain texture. This is just a great way to kind of get you started on just the very basics of it, but it's the same principle of that copying and pasting in front and using the transparency panel and the mask, but you can do it on any kind of design that you would like.